Hello, today's video is going to help us avoid a very common mistake in our written responses. It's a mistake that frankly I see most often in my more able students' work, and it all boils down to these johnnies here, words ending in ing. Like a lot of ambitious students, I thought I was striking a really classy literary tone when I was a boy by laying on a sentence like this in my imaginative writing tasks. Whispering through the trees, the wind rustling the leaves. I'd say to myself, oh, step back Charles Dickens, you're not the only burger on the barbecue. Back of the queue, my Cockney chum. But what I didn't realise was that what I'd written wasn't even a proper sentence. And as you know, the examiner today will be quick to hack down my spag mark for this sort of boo-boo. Now, I've no wish to suck us down into a swamp of linguistic technicalities, droning on about non-finite verbs and gerunds and all that crack. But it is worth saying that ing words, words like punching, skipping, dancing, farting or whatever, ing words tend to be classed as present participles. Present participles. Now that's a stupid word, and more on that later, but in general terms, as you can see from my examples here, they can be used as adjectives, the sitting boy describes the boy, or as verbs, as doing words, sitting in the chair. So present participles, ing words tend to be adjectives or verbs. Here's the official explanation as to why my original sentence that you saw before falls foul of spag rules, because present participles, those ing words, can't operate as the root of an independent clause. And what that means in basic English is that ing words can't be the main action of a sentence. My original sentence then, which I've reprinted here, is a bit like that Prince Hans in the film Frozen that my daughter was mad for when she was about 5. Because sure, it looks good, but it's no good. And the examiner's going to be underwhelmed by it because neither rustling or whispering can be the main action of a sentence. For all its glitz and glamour, this line doesn't make sense as a sentence. But with that sentence at the bottom of the screen, everything went from wrong to right. That's the way to do it. Whispering through the trees, the wind rustles leaves. And it works because that clause beginning with the present participle, the ing word, that can form part of the sentence, but as you can see, it's not the main action, it's not the main clause, which is the wind rustles leaves. So that works as a sentence, that's a beauty. Ooh. And as you can see, that sentence at the bottom is written in the present tense. It's rustles, present tense. Which brings me on to why the phrase present participle is such a jaw-saggingly, kick you in the crotch, stupid name for an ing word. Because ing words, whispering, skipping, dancing, don't have a tense. And they can work just as well in a present tense sentence as they can in a past tense sentence, like the one at the bottom there, whispering through the trees, the wind rustled leaves. Finally, a little note about comma control with these present participles, these ing words. It can save you some embarrassment down the line, as we'll see. Drinking my beer, I watched a dog. I'll tell you, Mr. Taylor, that's some social life you got right there. Now, clock that comma there, now that I've rejigged the sentence from the previous slide so that the main action is first in the sentence. I watched a dog drinking my beer. Now in general, any clause that comes after the main action of a sentence doesn't begin with a comma. Obviously there's exceptions to this, but it's a solid rule of thumb. For example, if I change the sentence to I watched a dog in the park or I watched a dog because I was bored, no comma is required. But an ing clause, a present participle, that is going to require a comma to kick things off, because otherwise the whole meaning of that sentence changes and I get upstaged by a stinking dog. If there's no comma, then that present participle, that ing clause, refers to the object of the sentence, the dog. If I put the comma in, it's clear that what's being done, the drinking, is being done by the subject of that sentence, the I or me. So remember, present participles, ing words, cannot be used as the main action in a sentence. Also remember that comma placement affects the meaning of a sentence. Remember these two things. As far as the exam is concerned, you couldn't be cooler if you were Stevie Wonder slurping slush puppy in a snowstorm. And on that note, I shall leave you good people to your day. Wish you the very best of luck in that example.